Hey everyone.
Hi.
Hi. Welcome to Time for Life on a different day. I'm
Yes.
here on a different day, and I'm here with So and my co-host, and Holly. I can't wait to talk to again. Welcome everybody. I can see everybody starting to come in. I'm going to give you guys just a little bit longer. We start a little bit late, but how is everybody today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm
I'm
good.
doing
I just
good.
got in the chat and I saw there's already people in the chat. So I'm going to welcome you all. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, Holly.
Excellent.
It's nice to meet you.
Nice
Holly
to meet you too.
was already a guest on Time for Life. I believe this was a time where I was on vacation or something.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm really glad to get to speak to you face to face and hear about
I snuck her in. I snuck her in without you. While you were sleeping.
Yeah, most likely. I usually sleep in the afternoon. So yeah.
Good to see you. Holly, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and tell everybody who you are and what you do?
I am a children's book writer, author, creator living in southern Maine. And I just kind of started moving to this after 30 plus years of web design, programming, Unix server administration, coding, and design in a variety of other areas. And but I worked for publishing companies. I ran a newspaper. I worked for a newspaper, and I worked at an educational publisher. And I've done lots of publishing throughout the years, and so kind of everything came back full circle. And my artwork was something I always wanted to do, but I was, like most people, too busy making a living and, trying to keep a roof over my head. So I'd always said, this might be something nice to do in my senior years. And then finally I got, when I turned 60, I was like, okay, well, it's now or never, because if you're going to get this done in your lifetime.
May I say, you're never guess. You don't look your age.
Oh, I'm 64. I'm 60. I'm
Oh my
maybe
gosh.
64 next month. So
64 is the new 48.
Yeah. Well, maybe on the outside, inside
Absolutely.
64.
Or reverse.
Or 46, Beth.
Yeah.
I started.
So
I think, and then I said, well, let's just make a book, see what happens. And I had a publishing company already, which I had started about 10 years earlier, to publish my mother's books. And my mother was a writer of Finnish.
She was a writer.
She was on the verge of getting published in Canada because she lived in Canada.
Wow.
And she was getting like the pictures taken for the jacket and everything. And right before that happened, the publishing company sold. And they dumped all the products.
Of course.
My cat. I know you're a cat person, so
I am very much so.
Her cat will raise hell.
Oh, good.
if she doesn't let it in. It's like, I'm going to take your door down. And her cats aren't small. They're like, she's got these panther things happening.
Oh, my cat, Madigan,
I only let one out in, so.
She's got tigers.
My cats have all been fairly large. They're like Norwegian forest cats and Maine Coon cat mixes. So they've all been big kitties.
Oh, we're going to have to do a whole show, I think, on like, what's your favorite animal? And like, for example, if you have Maine Coons, tell me about the race. It's just an idea. Like I had the Beth.
Maine Coons are very cool cats. The Norwegian forest cat is kind of a relative of the Maine Coon. And I can easily say, after our last cat, Sirius, that's probably my favorite breed. I've never met a cat attitude, cat physically.
Oh,
wow. We're losing your sound a little bit.
Spiritually, it was.
Oops.
You froze on us, Holly.
You gotta,
Ah,
that'd be
all right.
Are we okay?
yeah.
Yeah,
Good?
she's back. She's back.
Yay.
I hope it's
So-
not my mic or my mic.
I need
mic.
something like a interrupted screen, for like, technical difficulties.
Right.
And
Right.
that
I
is
love
something
it.
you illustrated, right? Of course.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, she's got to fit in your story. So your mom was finished.
Yeah, so my mom was a writer, and when they bought the publishing company and did not publish her books, I was just like so livid, I guess, that I said, to heck with it. I'll start a publishing company and I'll publish your books. And we did it. We did it.
Amazing.
That's
So I started the
I
company,
love it.
I published her books and then published my own afterwards. And but the children's book thing, I think the biggest thing with me was the iPad was a terrific help.
Mhm.
I had other drawing tablets, but I have, a frozen wrist from having keyboarded furiously for 30 years. So the iPad was the only thing I could draw on that was comfortable,
Okay.
but I've got everything from like curved keyboards to vertical mice to all that stuff.
Mhm.
It's like the disability friendly office, but
I love it.
the iPad has been probably the best help for that. But I love drawing on it, and so and I loved Procreate, so I just started doing it. And I was like, well,
I've heard really good things about Procreate. Like just it's amazing tool.
I always tell people to check out whatever software they think they might like, because everyone is different, and I know
Uh-oh.
it's great. Doesn't always work well for other people.
I love it. And I love what you've created on with it.
It fascinates me to learn about all these tools.
Yeah, I'd love to something with that.
Mm.
Procreate. I have to keep a note. I'm making a note because I've never heard about that. Procreate.
Mhm.
The name kind of reminds me of right away. I don't think of drawing. Okay, so
It's I want to procreate. I don't want to procreate. You gotta be clear lines.
Great program, and like super, like 30 bucks, 20 bucks, like that.
okay. Procreate. Cool.
It's not
Yeah.
giants where they're like, feed us for the rest of your natural lives,
Oh yeah, they own you or something. Holly,
Yeah.
is that a program that you use?
Daphne's
it's
asking a
digital
question.
program, right? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh. I was checking out a question about is it a big learning curve for Procreate?
I don't think so. As a matter of fact, I think Procreate, I tried Affinity Publisher and Affinity Draw, certainly all the Adobe Express, and
Mhm.
and I worked in Photoshop for, like 300 years. But honestly, I think Procreate, if you just want to get into it and draw, I always tell people I rate everything based on the shortest path to initial satisfaction, right? So if I want to draw a picture, how hard is it to get a canvas, pick a color, find a brush, and draw? And I've never met anything easier to use than Procreate. Very
And
simple.
so it has its own, I understand, it has its own brushes, its own,
Oh,
like you
loads of them.
choose like a brush, which I thought was really fascinating.
Yeah, and I make brushes. So I've made tons of brushes.
What?
So
Like
for
you mean
all,
real physical brushes?
they're all
No,
digital brushes.
Digital brush.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. I was
You
like,
use your Apple Pencil,
okay,
Mhm.
this little guy,
yeah.
Yeah.
and then when you make a brush, well, you use a black background that's square, and you create a design,
Mhm.
and depending on whether you repeat the design once, that's a tree. So that would be a stamp. But you can also repeat it multiple times and make it into a fluid brush. And there's all
it's kind
sorts
of
of
a copy
variations.
and paste function. Is that it? Like it almost, it's as if you can transform it into you copy what you've made and then you use it
You
again.
copy what you draw and then you put it into, like, for instance, I did a library of otter brushes, and I was doing underwater plants. So when you pick a brush and then you go into the brush details, as you can see, there's
Oh,
the thing
yeah.
I drew,
yeah.
and then you paste it in, and then you make all the little adjustments for like speed and size variations. So you can have it, make like underwater grass of varying sizes and different colors, and
Oh, I
so
love that.
right. So when I do the environmental backgrounds of all of my books,
Yes.
often feature the same kind of grasses and flowers and stuff, and because it would take not only 10,000 years to draw them individually,
Absolutely.
but I want the consistency of the look. So if it's a field of hay, I want the consistency of the hay. So the thing I did yesterday that I posted on Substack, which was the cat in the field of like dried wheat.
Yes.
So you saw the tree that I made. Here it is used as a stamp.
Oh, it's so pretty.
In that image.
That's very cool.
But the grass is a stamp. The plant on top of the cat's head is a stamp. The leaves on the tree are a stamp.
That is so cool.
I mean, it's so.
I'm like,
it also creates a consistency,
Now
for
I
your
want
art.
it.
I find, like, especially you're telling stories, so I can definitely see, when you have a series of children book. I don't know. I just have images of me going to the library with my kitty when she was small, and she'd take those books that she liked because she really got attached to a specific character. So then, you have the consistency of all that background, and it kind of feels familiar when you go to the next book,
Here's
right?
a good example. This is from the book called Counting Crows.
Counting Crows?
Yeah.
I love it.
This is the Mouse and Elephant number book, which is the last in the series. Now, there's a ton of chickens in this book. And as a matter of fact, if it had occurred to me how many chickens I would end up drawing when I started this, I might have picked something else to draw, because I ended up altogether, oh my Lord, with, I don't know how many thousands of chickens. But
that's amazing.
But for the environments behind them, for instance, so it's a book where you follow along with, the farmer has chickens and they have peeps, as our farm did, and the crows are like, we need to count the chickens because I've lost track of how many we have. And a fox shows up and offers to help, and of course all the chickens go bananas and fly off all over the place. So then the crows have to go gather all the chickens up and find them. But the crows are not that smart. So the crows, basically you follow along with them, and they're like, I can't find one chicken out here anywhere.
I love it.
So it's like, can you help the crows find the chicken? Well, this whole background, this lovely little bucolic background of our farm, that's done with about 7 or 8 stamps.
Okay.
Wow.
So the brushes fill in like the flowers, because things like dandelions and chicory and all that stuff, you want you're populating the field with it. You're not, snowflakes. Oh my Lord, you'd go bananas trying to draw them all, So that's super helpful. So it's a great, it's a terrific, I'm just looking, I have another book in here called M is for Mouse, and that's the alphabet version. And, but here's a good example, like Q is for a quiet, snowy day.
Oh,
but there's like snowflakes, and there's
it's just
like
precious.
There's like little dried grass,
Mhm.
and so all of those things kind of feel like I can still, but I draw all the main characters and like the snowman and the rocks and things like that. So I just kind of use those little background items to do things like the leaves, So
Oh.
It's so gorgeous. I mean, I've noticed also like the backgrounds kind of look a little bit like watercolors, you know?
yeah, they look, the different brushes that you use have
Mm.
kind of a different feel to them. So the
Very soft, very
yeah, and for children's books especially, you want to have
Mm.
colors that don't drop below the mid-range. So
Oh, yeah.
if you think of that classic color block of like, say, any color like red, and you've got like bright red up here and white, and then very dark red and black at the bottom, you want to
yes.
only go about halfway down,
Okay.
because the colors, well, not only for printing purposes do they start getting muddy, but they also they make it hard to distinguish what
Mm.
the picture is. So like
Yeah.
these are leaf brushes, which were great because there's no way I could draw that many leaves
Yeah.
accurately, So
It's like
the
it almost feels like, yeah, you're creating a brush and then you're like stamping them like boop 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 boop.
so I love doing that. So I love, one of the first things I do with any project I'm working on is
Mm.
I create sort of a palette, a color palette,
Yeah.
and then I create the sort of the environmental brushes that I want to use for that palette. So
Yes.
it's a good way to kill some time when you're not feeling creative,
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I was telling my partner the other day, I said, I'm in a slump, and I said, it happens when you finish a project. So I'm publishing a book this October called um, Mother Star Bear Moon. And it's
Mm.
about a bear cub who loses his mother in a blizzard.
Oh my
And
gosh. Hmm.
and I was like, this is not the book I intended to write. I actually had a slightly different thing to do with this book. But I swear, when I was writing this originally, I heard my mother's voice as clear as day in my head. And we used to collaborate on writing projects. And I was saying, the mother bear went out and left the cub in the den and went out in search of food in the middle of a blizzard. And right at that point, I heard her say, and she never returned. I was like, no, no,
Oh.
that's like sad. That's not good.
Oh.
And she's like, isn't it a better story? Like, well, it could be, I suppose. So I started,
The darker version.
yeah, the darker version, and so it's it's weird, right? Because you have to sort of follow your gut with
Yeah.
these things.
Does
And
that would that be a, you know, kind of a story? You know, there are books sometimes that you use with children to
yeah,
explain real facts of life, such as, you know, for example,
yeah.
like separation, you know, like
Oh
big
yeah.
life events
There's
that sort
always a need for stuff like that because, and this is the Mother Star Bear Moon, and the
Oh,
bear goes off in search of its mother,
oh
and
my goodness.
cannot find her, and searches all over the place with a teddy bear that is fashioned by the um, creatures that live nearby. So like there's the mother leaving the den with the cub inside,
oh my gosh.
and
Mm.
and I dedicated the book to my
Mhm.
mom
Hmm.
because when my own mother died in 2015, it was just devastating. It was I was completely grown. I was 52, and I said, but I felt
So
like a
sweet.
motherless child. I said it was
Mm.
because she and I had been best friends my
Yeah.
entire life, and we wrote every day. We talked all the time. We sometimes
Mhm.
dreamt in tandem. Like it was a very, very close relationship. And she died just very suddenly.
Oh.
So
And
very sorry about that because
yeah,
that
and it
sounds
just was like for the next 7 years, you know, it was like trying to find a way back, like finding, because it was like there was my life
Yeah.
before she died, and there was my life after, and I was a different woman at that point. And I was like, this is the problem with grief, is that it's so utterly mundane. We all go through it. I've had cats die, and I've been like, I'm going to hang myself,
Yeah.
It's so upsetting. And yet it happens to all of us. And yet it's just so, we don't have any good rituals for it, like it should be like, my mother died, I'm sorry, I'll be in the cave of sadness for a year. Yeah,
The cave of sadness.
Or as certain cultures still do it, wearing black, or I have Romanian friends, and one of his brothers passed away. And he would basically follow certain, like he was wearing not sleeve black, but for a while, and then there was a party that we had invited him, like I think it was like a Halloween party, and he was like, no, I'm just gonna stay home, and very, and we totally respected, like, as you say, there certain learning processes are very different depending on cultures, but I think we used to, anyways, I don't mean that, my opinion is that now we kind of like, it's almost like, okay, it happened, and try to move on, go back to, it's like, wait, it's like you said, it was such a big part of my life. How do I don't want to say reconstruct, but how do I, it's got to be.
Yeah. I think it's just very, I think it's very hard. I think it's very difficult.
Yeah.
What was, Holly, I know when you were on before, you shared what your first writing was. Was your mom a big influence in that?
Oh, my mom was an influence in everything I wrote. And the books that she wrote, many of them were based on dreams I had, which was even funnier.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So we had like this very weird, once in a great while, I would wake up and I would tell her, because we're both Finnish, we're like very big on dreams and, like what they mean. And I would tell her about a dream I had, and she would tell me that she basically had the same dream from her perspective of us spending time together. And I'd be like, when I were in the kitchen, we were having a cup of tea. It was like 4:00. It was on a Sunday, blah, blah, blah. And she'd be like, oh my God, she had the same dream. And it's like, it was freaky the way that would happen. It was very strange.
Well, you were definitely on the same wavelength, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We were very, very much,
in tune.
She was very funny and very, very smart and, just a delight. And, just, those are the people in your life that when that's a pretty cat. The people in your life that, you realize that, like, if somebody said, if you came to Earth for just one thing, one relationship, would it be enough? Would you be willing to put up with like 80 odd years of like the flu and, like pain bills and car accidents and, your muffler falling off? And if you go through all the heartache and you say, would you do it? Would you take all that on for having, say, known your favorite cat? And you're like, well, I hate to say it, but I probably would, because, that was a pretty awesome cat,
Right.
Most of us, I think, would be willing to take on a lot of stuff for just one relationship. And it doesn't even have to be anything all that specific, really. I think it's amazing to realize what we would do. And it shows you just how much everybody means to you,
It sounds like sometimes when you have a very fulfilling, relationship in your life, then, which is as you had with your mom, do you feel that influences the way you make up your stories, like with
absolutely. My mother's Finnish mysticism and even more than that, my Finnish grandmother Haneti used to,
I love it.
She was a Laplander, and she was like the family eldress. She could tell when people, like Laplanders have the ability to know when people are coming because they send out their spirit guides ahead of them. And so my Finnish grandmother had all of that stuff. The stories about her were incredible. She was chased across Finland in the snow by a pack of wolves and had to like take shelter in a small fishing shack or something somewhere, so it's the sense of the indomitable women who came before you. And my mother, my mom was a very sharp, very educated person, but I think one of my favorite things about her was that she never looked at like, well, we can either have science or we can have magic, but we can't have both. Right. And to me, science is like the proof of magic, I guess, if it can. Right.
I agree with you.
Yeah, we live in a world where people are like, well, there's science, and if it's not science, then it's crap. And I'm like, well, everything you know about science and everything you've learned is only what you've learned about now in like 200 years on 1/4 of the Earth's surface in populated countries that are climately friendly enough to learn anything. So like, it's such a tiny amount of wisdom. And
yes.
Yeah, I mean,
really.
It is. And so I'm like, well, okay, you think that, say, mermaids are a myth. Okay. I haven't met a mer person. Do I rule them out? Of course not. Why not? Because life is infinitely more interesting when you rule everything in instead of ruling things out. And that's kind of like my thing, My mom
go ahead.
Yeah. My mom was that way, and I'm the same way. It's like we look at everything with a very like, let me drill down and get rid of everything to find out what this means. And I'm like, well, maybe you should stop drilling, and widen your perspective and see if something better comes to you.
I agree. I happen to live only, probably an hour and a half to 2 hours. I don't even think it's 2 hours from the International Mermaid Museum.
There you go.
And it is located at my favorite winery.
How convenient.
Right. So you drink, so you see the mermaids, I guess. I don't know, but it works.
Works for sailors.
Wow. Right.
I've had some unusual things happen to me in my life, I had, and this is just like such a weird event, I bought a Boston fern, for my apartment when I was 30. I was living in the top story of a completely walk-up, very small kind of loft apartment with the world's tiniest bathroom. And I was like, let me get a Boston fern to put on top of my bookshelf by the window.
Perfect.
It was the 90s. It's what we all did. And so I bought a fern, and my cat Madigan, who was a long-haired white Maine Coon mix of various things that I rescued out of poverty in Pennsylvania. He was owned by a family member of Senator John Madigan. But they had a show cat, and their show cat apparently stepped out one night and had a less than show cat pedigree group of kittens. And so, yeah, they're like, you want a cat, And so I found this little white angry ball of fluff with a black spot on his head, and I'm like, he's cute, and he bit me, and I said, I'll take him. So I came back in like 8 weeks, and I brought him home. So I'd had this cat for years, and he was a very fascinating, totally psychotic animal, but I loved him. And
I have one that's almost like that, and
like nobody can touch him but me, that kind of thing. And he used to drink if I had like a White Russian, he'd drink all the cream off the top of it,
What's a White Russian? What's that? What is it?
It's a cocktail.
It's a cocktail. It's
Kahlua,
I've heard of
vodka,
mule, but
cream, and
Russian.
ice, and you shake it all up, and you get like a thick layer of this wonderful Kahlua coffee cream on the top. And Madigan used to love the tops of those. He would just like,
I am Madigan.
Yeah, I'm like, as long as you're not driving, I'm cool. So one day I'm in this apartment, and it was just like right in the middle of the day, like 3 in the afternoon, 4 in the afternoon. I believe it was in the summer. And I was walking from my kitchen to my living room, which was like a 4-foot walk, and my fern on the top shelf began to shake. At first, all the fronds, but then the pot, the whole thing, bonk, 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 blah, 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 and it's throwing little fern leaves everywhere, you know.
Earthquake?
And I looked over and I'm like, what the heck am I seeing? Madigan, who was in the living room by the fern, hit the dirt and ran out of the living room into the bedroom. And I am looking at this thing and I'm like, you know, kind of backing away from it. And I'm like, I got to remember everything I'm seeing here because I have to be able to explain this later to people. And it was just rocking and rolling. And I finally said, Jesus Christ, and it stopped. And there were fern bits.
Oh my God.
Within like a half the living room radius, all over the couch, all over the bookshelf. Well, I immediately thought that some animal had gotten into my fern. Did I somehow buy this thing with like a cobra curled up around?
Oh my God. Cobra in Maine?
Even so, but I was fine. I approached the bookshelf and I pulled the pot out at arm's length and walked it to the kitchen sink and nothing. And I took a steak knife and went bang, 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 bang.
What?
I'm dead. She killed it. I'm dead.
And there was nothing in the pot. There was nothing in there. I even called a friend. I'm like, can you come over? My fern went nuts and I'm exploring it, but I don't know what's going to happen. So please come over. And she's like,
I'm so sorry. This is hilarious, but
it is.
Go ahead.
And because she is not only my friend, but the woman I later married, she's like, I'll be right there. You know, and so I pull the fern out of the pot and there's nothing.
Oh my God.
There's no sign of anything. Meanwhile, Madigan is on the top shelf in my closet behind a pile of towels.
Hiding, right?
Yeah, protecting me. And so when she arrived, I'm like trying to explain it to her. Managa fern, like fern bits everywhere. The place was a mess. And she's like, were you asleep? I'm like, no, I'm not asleep. I was right here. Are you sure you weren't asleep? I'm not narcoleptic. I wasn't asleep. I don't even nap because it's too disorienting, you know. I'm like, no, I was just, I mean, it's like 4:30 in the afternoon in the summer. No, you know. And I never found out what happened. We never got an answer for it. There was nothing in the pot. There was nothing in the apartment. There was nothing on the shelf. We tore the place apart. Nothing.
Well, clearly it was Jesus' name was Jesus Christ.
In the name of Jesus, I stopped it. I told my mother this, and she wrote her book, The Hell What Broke Loose When Charlie Came. And that was the book she wrote that included the shaking fern from my dream.
Oh my God.
And I said, I don't know. I don't know what caused it, but that's not the first time a plant has acted weird around me. I was shoveling snow in Pennsylvania on a clear day after a light snowfall, and the tree right outside my apartment suddenly went bananas and started shaking, and it fell over.
That's really.
And I was
Wow.
looking at it. It wasn't a heavy snowfall. There was no wind. You know, it threw snow bits everywhere as it does, but there was a woman behind the tree on the street, you know, beyond my apartment. And she looked at me and I looked at her and I said, I didn't touch it, you know, but, you know, okay. So science, right? Anyone want to take a crack at that?
Yeah.
I mean, you could make a lot of arguments, I suppose, for the tree. Maybe it was having some kind of internal crisis or something.
That's what I was thinking about the
Earthquake,
fern,
I mean.
you know. I thought,
But what
well,
about the
did it-
fern? Like,
Did it have a breakdown? I mean, was it just happening?
yeah, was it like, is this what happens when ferns go? When do they live forever and then someday just go schizophrenic on you? I have no idea.
I'm kind of wondering about that now. Like, what happened to the fern?
Yeah, and I told Jenna, I said, if I was going to make up something, I would never come up with like the fern going berserk. That makes no sense. Like, it's even hard to picture because it just is so, it's just so ridiculous.
All right, I love this fern story.
Yeah.
I never trusted that for an afterwards.
It sounds like something
you
that could end
stabbed
up in
it,
a
you
book.
know.
I did. I stabbed it. Yes, I
You,
killed
you
it.
stabbed it. You had to make sure it was, dead.
I aerated it.
Holly,
Yeah,
if I may
I'd have a
interrupt,
lack of trust.
I
for
would
sure.
like to know how many books have you published? And I mean, not just, no, sorry, not published because you're a publisher, but how many books have you written, illustrated, and what's your series? Do you have many series? Like, do you have different, like?
I have the Mouse and Elephant series was my first series,
Okay.
and that is based on Mouse and Elephant are just a couple of friends, unlikely friends who live in a neighborhood that looks a lot like my farm, and there are 6 basic books in the series that correspond to locations on the farm, and then there's M's for Mouse and Counting Crows, which makes a bundle of 8 for that series. Then I have Wander, which I wrote next and illustrated. Mother Star Bear Moon is coming out in October. And next year I have one called The Dream Traveler, which is about a beaver who is searching for meaning in life and does not wish to cut down trees all day and goes off in search of something to provide meaning in life. So that's coming out next year. And of course, I'm also working on my cats thing and something with otters. But altogether, so far, it's 9. And in October, it'll be up to 10.
That's amazing.
So a total of 10 books.
Yep.
That's awesome. Because I live in Quebec and it's French speaking, right? But I live near the base and our village is also bilingual. And I know that they do have lots of kids around, and there's a English speaking elementary school, and there's a library. So I might just look into that, like, well, anyways, we'll see. Sometimes you can, yeah.
Yeah, well, I dedicated one of my Mouse and Elephant books to a 5th grade class or kindergarten class in Maine that was reading one of them. So I was like, I dedicated it to the whole class for them and their teacher.
Oh, that's amazing.
Because there's so many lovely books that exist. And, I think that we have to encourage our local communities to, just encourage small, I don't want to say small, but yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I know. I'm like, if I read so much about the publishing industry and where it's going and AI and how that's influencing it. And I understand why we only live as long as we do, because I think at some point you get to the point where you're like, oh man, no.
Right.
Cannot do this. So I said, I'm kind of glad I'm doing this on my own. I'm far too old to start looking for an agent, a publisher, and all of that stuff. And I just don't think that having worked in the publishing industry, I have a little bit of a sense of like how it works and what gets bought and what gets, and I've worked with a lot of writers, helping produce stuff for them as well. So I'm like, I think I'd rather just do it myself. And, if it makes like $25 a year, that's fine, and I said, I'd rather do it to have it done and have my books done my way. They said, there's nothing worse than working on a project and not being happy with the final result.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so often when you're working with writers or artists or whatever, and you're working as a group with a publisher and you're working with marketing people and, they're like, we love this, but we want the girl to be a boy. We want the main character to be heterosexual.
And then they change it all.
And she explains to me all the struggles that she has. She's an author in Quebec City, and yes, she finds that hard. Like, it's kind of when you're not in that field, as us, we don't know all the underlying, challenges and
right. Well, I'm like, if you come out with a book and it's a screaming success and you make a ton of money and you put a pile of changes into it that you didn't like, how does that make you feel?
Like it's not your own work anymore. Like if people
you feel like you made money, which is great, but that's not really the book you wrote.
Yeah.
And so do you feel like a sense of imposter syndrome? If you do that and you don't make a ton of money, I would be psychotic. I'd be like, well, it was no good because you made me change this, this, and this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was a better book, I think, if you did that. And then, of course, now you've got an adversarial thing going, and they're like, yeah, well, thanks very much. We'll talk to you like next year, And I can't do that. So
No.
when I have worked with writers, for instance, formatting their books or getting them ready for print, I'm like, I will tell you what I know about printing. I will tell you what I know about best practices. But if you want something completely different, assuming it's not something that's absolutely horrific, then yeah, I'm going to do it for you, because it's so much more important that your project be your project.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I agree.
People don't have to like it, but it has to be yours.
Publishing. Is there a way to go to? Do you have a website or like it? Because I put in the chat earlier your Substack, which I will put back later. But do you have the information on your Substack? Is there like a website or a link or?
My publishing company is Boilerplate Books, and let's see. Let me see if I can get that into. Where is there a chat window here somewhere?
Definitely, when I'm going to repost this, I'll put in the links in the for sure.
Yeah. So the Boilerplate Books is the. I also have a link to hollyvalero.com in my Substack, but any website that I have at the bottom will take you to all of my websites. So
great.
So Boilerplate.
You might get a few orders.
I got this one. Here we go.
You're getting followers and subscribers right now.
Nice.
Thank you, Jason.
Sorry,
go ahead, Beth.
I want to hear, I love the Willy Wax. How did you come up with the Willy Wax?
The former Maine State Librarian. Now, my partner, Janet, worked at the Maine State Library. And she was the director of I'm going to get this wrong, technology, something or other. We both work in technology. And but her boss at the time was Linda Lord, and she was the Maine State Librarian. And she was in a meeting, I think in Washington, D.C., doing some kind of thing with, the senator or something. But anyway, she mentioned the Willy Wax of Maine, out in the Willy Wax, because it's a very Maine term as far as being out in the wild. It's like if you go from town and you go to the boonies, but you go past the boonies even further where there's like no cell phones and only logging roads, that's kind of the Willy Wax. So that's
I love it.
Right? Tell me, the French speaking it's an expression that's, because I know the boonies is slang, but the Willy Wax is like even further than the boonies, right? It's like
right. So it would be in my mind, the Willy Wax is even further. So all of Maine is rural. There is no big city in Maine. Portland is the big city, but it's not exactly a big city. So Maine everything is rural. Gorgeous. But this place that we have here is the most rural place I've lived in Maine. Obviously, in Pennsylvania, I was way out in the boonies, but this place is so rural that, it's not at all unusual to see like 2 or 3 deer stroll across the yard, and there's always critters running around. There's always birds. There's always foxes. We have a fox that keeps running through the neighborhood, and but Maine is mostly Willy Wax territory.
I don't know if you want to ask you, but are you like northern, or I don't want to ask you like
we're southern. We're actually southern Maine. We're outside of Portland.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was like, we're close to Canada, and I think of New Brunswick, and like here, there's so much wood. So.
Oh yeah. Once you get past there's Augusta and Bangor, and then everything else is like beard. Yeah, we're just outside. We're in one of the bedroom communities of the greater Portland area.
So we're Willy Max.
So,
is that it? How do you
Willy Wax?
Oh, Wax. Okay.
Willy Wax.
Willy Wax. So if you're referring to like your cabin, you're going up to your cabin for the weekend, it's out in the Willy Wax, because it may have electricity, it may not. It's probably on a lake, but
so it may be haunted. Maybe haunted.
So this is definitely the Willy Wax. It's such a fun word, and I think it's a it's so classic of Maine to have, like, you know, a more fun word than say boondocks, but you know, like we are we are so rural and also dangerous. You know, like it's beautiful, but Pennsylvania was all farmland. You know,
Yeah.
you might be lost in Pennsylvania, but you're not going to die. In Maine, if you get lost in Maine in the winter, oh, you're a dead man. You know?
Oh, I agree. Same here. In Quebec, it's the same. I mean,
Yeah, you can't like step out of your car and think you're just going to walk for half an hour in a blizzard and find anything aside from, you know, Jesus waiting for you, because you know that is not a wise decision. No. Yeah.
Love
Never
it.
go where there isn't a
so
cell phone.
what characters live in the Willy Wax?
You know, and most of the ones that I'm drawing now, like I'm sure I don't think we'd be beavers right around here, but you know, obviously, the book, The Dream Traveler, takes place north of Vancouver Island in an imagined space that looks a lot like Malcolm Island, because I've been up there a few times with my mom, and I know that Canada's got some massive beaver lodges. So, you know, I started, that book has begins with a map, and if you're Canadian, I don't expect any Americans to know what it is. Let's see if I can really quickly find it here. There it is.
Our
So,
emotional support Canadians will know.
yes, exactly. Well, I'm Canadian now, so there you go.
Oh, you go.
It starts with a map, and that is a gentle ripoff of the northern coast of Vancouver Island to Malcolm Island beyond that. So,
Oh, yes.
but
Just a little story. Last night we started watching the series Alone on Netflix, and it is in northern Vancouver Island, and it's amazing to see the wilderness.
really?
I mean, definitely that's
yeah, it's one of those series like Naked and Afraid. I'm like, you know, I don't even know. I'm like, how do they pitch these shows and who shows up for them? Like, you know,
they do.
Right.
I mean, what I like is they were both Americans and Canadians in that.
Oh.
Well, we're just in the first season, but what you're describing is I can right now. If you guys want to go watch it, you can see how the wilderness is just so thick, and
it is so beautiful up there. When
Yeah.
I went to visit my mom once, we went to Malcolm Island, and there was a forest that I called the size 10 forest, because the trees were so close together that I could not walk through that forest. I'm like, you have to be like a size 10 to get through this thing. You had to plan, you know, you couldn't just walk. You had to, like, if I go between those two trees, I'm not going any further. And I was like, I've never seen such a dense forest in my life. Beautiful, beautiful country. I saw massive bald eagle standing atop the headstone of a sailor sea captain's grave in this little tiny cemetery in Sointala. And
Wow.
and I was like, wow, that's like an album cover is what that is. You know, like,
Wow.
Yeah, it was such a strong image.
yeah, beautiful, beautiful place. But that's the thing. I think, you know, I was talking to my brother last week, and I said, I don't live in the country because I love the country. I said, I live in the country because that's where the animals are, and I love animals. And so,
Same. I moved. Anyways, I did the same. When you were talking about deers, I catch them on my outside camera when I don't see them.
Yeah. We get deer. We get. I've got like hummingbirds out here. I've got like every kind of. You know, we have a woodchuck that my partner's having a fight with in the backyard with some tomatoes, and you know, we have sort of everything around here. We have pheasants, we have turkeys, we have, you know, and it's so typical to see them that when I go to the city, I'm like, I miss the earth, you know, I miss the like I walk around and water my plants every morning barefoot, and I'm like, I can't stand on grass here unless I make an appointment, you know, like in the city.
Yeah.
Like, take a car or walk for miles or something. But, you know, it's the animals that I like. And it makes me very happy that we have a little 3-acre chunk of land that is friendly enough that all the
Yeah.
animals just hang around here.
I have to ask you, do you actually put out food?
I have a bird feeder for birds. Okay. But what we're actually doing is I'm planting service berries, sunflowers. We're getting a new crabapple tree, maybe get a heritage crab from Maine. And what we're trying to do is populate the ground with enough renewable perennial resources that if we get hit by the plow and killed, or we walk away from our cars in the winter, then I want the place to sustain itself. Yeah. So I love animals, but I don't want to tame them.
That's it. I was asking exactly because of that, because I'm currently kind of like mixed. I have mixed feelings about, like, people are like telling me, oh, you should put apples, like a whole, like, not manure in apples. I was like, yeah, but I'm kind of like going against their instinct of searching for subsistence. If I'm not there, like you say, we're gonna find the apples. So
yeah,
it's a good idea. Thank you.
Yeah, I make allowances for things like, because I bake bread, and I usually end up with like a little leftover bread. So I will tear it all up and go out and give it to the crows in our yard, because I'm trying to develop a relationship with our crows. And I was doing it with enough regularity that, like, on Tuesdays, I noticed the crows showed up, and they're like,
waiting, like, what are you doing? Where's our food?
Anything for us? And I'm like, oh.
I've been doing the same thing.
Yeah. And so, I do stuff like that for any kind of opportunistic. If it's going to be minus 45, like the coldest it's been here when I've been here is like, I think it was 43 to 44 below zero. And
what is that? What is that? Because I've been in Michigan when it's 0, and where I grew up, and it's cold.
That's cold.
I ran around in shorts.
Yeah.
All winter. I was acclimated. I can't do that now that I've been out in the Pacific.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well,
since I was 20 something.
I always tell people, the longer you live in Maine, the more likely you are to have more coats, but the less likely you are to wear them, because you're like, oh, I'm not going out for like an hour. I'm just going to get the mail, and I'm going to.
Yeah, it's true.
So you're like, I'm not going to put a coat on. That just looks stupid, So you just go out in your shirt, and then you come back in, and you're like, but we occasionally get, like, I think it was last year or the year before, it went to 45 below zero one night, and that, I can't tell the difference. Once it goes to 20 below, the snow gets very squeaky when you walk on it.
Yes.
And I can't tell any difference between minus 20 and minus 40. They feel the same to me.
Well, because you're half dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Jason in the chat just said, you're not going to believe this, but I just bought the domain willywax.com.
Yeah, go for it.
What?
He did. He said he just bought the domain name.
Do it.
I think Jason has done this before.
He has.
And that's okay. Sorry, I've lost my.
Willy wax is my new word of the day after pantsing, which we learned from Lawrence today. Pantsing. Were you in there in that? Oh, with Nick and Lawrence this morning. So that was a fun thing to learn. But he bought it for $12.
Yeah.
Nice. What are you gonna do with it, Jason?
Yeah, really. Publish a website.
I think
he bought disabilityrenaissance.com for Naida.
I think he's gonna DM you, and you guys figure it out.
He said no clue. You're hilarious.
Yeah.
What? Since we're almost out of time, what?
No way. I can't believe it.
I know.
I have so many questions, but there you go, Beth.
I know.
Go
I do too. I just really enjoy having you on, because I love your characters. I love your story. I love, the work that you're doing. And I just think it's awesome. And you're hilarious. So you fit in with
Blame my mom. My mom was hilarious.
you fit in with our funny group, and I love that. What brings you the most joy in your life?
I must say that at this point, um, there are some days when I get a good idea, and if I've been drawing stuff and I've been like, oh, you suck, you stink, you're awful, what are you thinking? And then I suddenly have like a moment where I'm like, oh, wait a minute, that doesn't suck.
Right?
That gives me a great deal of joy. So I love spending, there's nothing I like more than rainy weather, and we haven't had any rain in days and days. We had a tiny bit last night. But if you could give me like a Sunday afternoon in my chair with my drawing board and a nice gentle rain going on outside, that would probably be the happiest thing for me. That's
I love
probably what I
that.
enjoy doing the most. I love, aside from that, and of course saying hello to all the neighborhood dogs when they come down for their walkies.
Of course. Yeah. That's, you got to. It's a requirement.
It's, if it isn't, that's what I'm telling people. Sorry, it's a requirement that I talk
You
to
have
your
to pet the
dog every
dog.
day. We have so many great dogs in this neighborhood. We have we have Timber, and we have Eddie, and we have Collins, and so I make it a point to get to know them all when they're being walked by people. I'm like, stop in here, say hello. But otherwise, it's a very nice time of life, and I wish the country was in better shape. I wish we weren't all collectively going to hell and being dragged there by a lunatic, and that's kind of a bummer.
That's kind of a real dark bummer.
Yeah, real dark bummer there, and I'm like, the sad part is, having been politically active for the last 44, 45 years, whatever, you do what you can do,
Yeah.
Janet works at the polls, we've both
But
been very
if
politically
all of
active.
us do a little thing of what we can do, then all of that, counted together,
Collectively,
will
Collectively,
change something.
it should
I
work.
believe.
in theory, but I don't know
Well, it's
why
got to
we're
work at some
choosing.
point, it
I
just
don't know why
matters
we're
when,
just like going, oh, well, yeah, this is happening. I'm just gonna paint rocks.
Yeah,
That's where
exactly.
I'm like,
There-
I'm just gonna do this.
When you go
Yeah.
into your own little artistic world and you
You gotta
create your
grab the joy.
characters, it's such a source of joy because in my little worlds, everybody's nice, like everyone is kind, everyone is,
Yes.
it's because it's just so easy to be nice, and it's so easy to be kind. And
It doesn't take much.
if you don't like people, just ignore them. It's amazing how easily that works. I'm like, but you could just be, just reasonably nice. Just figure like, this is my good deed for the day. I'm going to be nice to this person, whatever. It's so simple, and I just do not know why it's so hard for people.
I agree.
And talking of being nice, Jason said that he, by domain, I hear people mention when they're available, because I don't want some sick bastard to have it, and he's going to give it to you. It's what he said.
I have several domains already, but thank you anyway.
Lord of blank.com. Yeah, I guess there you go. I think whatever you do that brings you happiness, do it. Do it.
Whatever makes you happy is the thing to do.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, Holly,
I want her to sell herself.
Artist we had on our show, but I definitely want to hear more about you. So we will have to have you back again.
Go ahead.
I'm always around.
Sell yourself.
Yes.
Here's your moment.
To sell myself?
Yeah.
Well, you could check out, my website, hollyvalero.com. You could check out the Mouse and Elephant books at Amazon. And the books for like Wander at Apple Books are actually animated. So if you tap the little glyphs, you get pop-up definitions, which is kind of fun. And boilerplatebooks.com is my publishing company. There you go.
I love it.
Thank you.
I love it. And thank everybody for
Thank you. It's
jumping
delightful
in
to
here.
talk to you both. This has been very fun.
It's fun. I appreciate you. We'll talk soon, okay?
Okie dokie.
Yes. Thank
All
you,
right.
everyone, for joining. It's been amazing.
Thank you.
You were very
Alrighty.
active. That's great. So we're finishing the stream, right, Beth? I'm not going.
Oh, I'm like, no, I'm still hanging on. I'm like, I have ADHD. I'm just like, oh, the sun's out now. Oh, you guys are still here? Okay, hold on. Bye.
Oh, you're like, when you have on this, you're like,